Prime Minister, great to see you. You had two very substantial U-turns yesterday. You've lost control of your party, haven't you?
Well, what we've done since we came into government is put in place a package to deal with the very, very serious issues we face as a country. People were facing energy bills of up to £6,000. Businesses were facing going under, high inflation and slowing global growth. So what we've done is put in place the energy price guarantee, a maximum of £2,500 for the typical household, but also measures to get the economy growing, keeping corporation tax low, reversing the national insurance increase, but also taking the steps that we need, like building roads, getting on with broadband, getting on with more investment across our country to get the economy growing. And that is what I'm focused on.
No, totally. But, you know, you've just said the cost of living crisis isn't exactly a secret. So why didn't you get that abolishing the 45p top rate was just politically impossible?
Well, I've listened to what people said and I've acted straight away. And I think...
But why didn't you get it in advance? People say one of your weaknesses perhaps that you just don't take advice you don't want to hear till it's a bit too late.
Well, I took the advice very quickly. I listened to what people had to say. We made that decision very rapidly not to move ahead because it was becoming a distraction. Yeah. It was a small part of the overall package to get the economy moving. The other parts, frankly, are much bigger and more important, such as the energy price guarantee, such as the corporation tax, such as national insurance. So it was right to move on, Robert. But I think it's a reflection of somebody who does listen, who is prepared to change things, even though it might be politically difficult. Even I might get difficult questions from Robert Peston. I'm prepared to do what's right to move the country forward.
But you and your Chancellor said simplifying the tax system is an aim. Is it potentially possible, therefore, that at some future point, when the conditions are different, you could bring back this proposal to get rid of the top rate of tax?
Well, we're not bringing this proposal forward.
Not now, but could you bring it back in the future?
We're very clear about that. And what our focus is.
But was it a mistake in principle or just politically impossible?
I do support a lower, simpler tax system. I've always been very clear about that. But what we couldn't allow is a fairly minor part of the package become a distraction from the fact that we have given more energy support than any other country in Europe and made sure people aren't worrying and struggling this winter with their energy bills, which was the big issue a month ago. If you remember a month ago, that's what people were talking about. We fixed that problem. We brought that in straight away and acted very quickly. And we've also taken steps to make sure our economy is a strong position so we get to a low-tax, high-wage economy, which is what we want to see. And that was the priority.
Sure. But I absolutely need to come back to all of that. But even with the very expensive subsidy you've given to energy prices, people are struggling with their bills, food prices going up. Many of your MPs will say to me that it is politically impossible not to increase benefits, universal credit in line with inflation. So why don't you just say now to me that you will increase benefits, universal credit in line with inflation?
Well, I do understand that people are struggling with their energy bills, which is why we put in place the energy price guarantee.
But it's not just energy bills, is it?
But we're also supporting the most vulnerable with an extra £1,200 of support. So we are putting in that extra support this winter. So what our plan is about...
But the uprating of benefits, that is what people really want to know about.
Helping people this winter with the very real issues we faced with energy bills, making sure that we are not raising taxes, which was the proposal, so that we're continuing to attract investment into our economy, continuing to get economic growth going. That is the priority now. Of course, we will look at the benefits uprating issue.
But you can't commit to do that now.
But that's a decision for later on this year, Robert.
But Penny Mordaunt, very important member of your government, has said today that you must increase universal credit in line with inflation. Now, that's a clear breach of Cabinet collective responsibility. She's got to be sacked, hasn't she?
Well, no, she doesn't. And this is about a decision that we are taking later on this year. And of course, there'll be more discussions about those decisions.
But MPs want to see you in control. And actually a cabinet, minister speaking out against what appears to be your position is you not in control. Your MPs will throw you out if they don't think that you have a clear direction and can command the confidence of them and your cabinet.
We do have a very clear direction and a very clear plan. We've dealt decisively with the energy cost issue, which was the major issue 4 weeks ago. People aren't talking about it because we have dealt with that issue and given the households the reassurance they need and the businesses the reassurance they need. We've also taken steps to get the economy growing in an environment, and we're facing a very difficult global environment here where we've got very high inflation, we've got the energy price spike caused by Putin's war in Ukraine. We've dealt with that issue, and of course we will deal with the issue of benefits uprating.
But what about the issue of discipline? You saw what happened to Boris Johnson. He led the party to this enormous victory, but he got thrown out because he couldn't control his MPs. You're a few weeks in and you can't control your MPs. You've got to reassert discipline.
Well, we are very clear that we have a plan. We are working with our MPs as a plan. This is a team. This is the Conservative team putting forward our policies for the country and delivering for the country. I'm 4 weeks into the job. We've already delivered on the energy price guarantee. We've already delivered on my campaign commitments on national insurance and corporation tax. And we will deliver more.
But I've got two very material questions I've got to ask you because they are so vitally important to the country. One is, the Tories had this reputation for being the party that was safe, that would safely be the steward of the nation's finances. Now, many would say, given what happened to the pound, given what happened to interest rates after the mini-budget, you've lost that reputation. How are you going to get that reputation back?
We have to recognise that we're operating in a very volatile global market, that this is quite unprecedented, what's happened. First of all, because of the aftermath of COVID. Secondly, because of Putin's war in Ukraine. Currencies are under pressure around the world. Interest rates are rising around the world. I always said when I took on this job that it was going to be tough, that things weren't going to get easy. But we are
for rising mortgage rates, a potential property housing, a potential housing market crash. That's devastating for your poll ratings.
As I've said, there are some very difficult issues taking place around the world because of the situation we face. What I'm doing is taking the right decisions here in the United Kingdom to help people face what is a very difficult winter, and we've done that on energy bills, we're doing that on economic growth, we're doing that on getting the economy moving. Now, can I control the global market? No, I can't. But what I can do is making sure as much as possible we're helping people get through this difficult time, and we're also putting the United Kingdom on a stronger footing in the future.
Last very quick one. Boris Johnson famously redecorated the Downing Street flat at considerable expense. Do you like what he did?
I do like what he did, and I certainly don't have any time to be adjusting it.
Lovely to see you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Robert.